Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's summer, well, very close to summer, and I know most of you are looking forward to doing some travel perhaps this season. Today I'm going to share with you my top tips on how to do it stylishly. So throughout the years, I've kind of paid attention to what works and what doesn't work for me, because I know there are times when we just want to relax and go on a nice island and just wear a bathing suit at most, and that's it. Just lay back and not worry about the world for about 5 days. Maybe some of us are going to visit other cities and maybe you don't want to look like a tourist, and maybe you still want to look like yourself, stylish, put together. And really what comes down to is preparation. So here's tip number one is plan. I really think about this topic in depth and I apply it in my personal life as well as in my professional life. Because ultimately, whatever event you're preparing for or is coming, it will happen regardless if you plan for it or not. So let's talk about planning for a second. Planning is such an important part in being prepared and really removing that stress and making sure that you check off all those boxes. Because as women, for example, we tend to carry a lot of different accessories and purses and shoes, and everything needs to match, everything needs to be color coordinated, and all of these elements, these details are really what makes your look put together. As with everything, looking elegant and stylish is about the details. Really pay attention to those details, make sure everything's in tip-top shape, everything's coordinated, everything's matching. And when you travel, you have to maximize that because you don't have a lot of room in your luggage. So really a little bit of preparation is required. I like to put together a sort of a map by day, what's going to happen, what is the best day to do what. So a little bit of research is involved, because some museums, for example, or specific locations have their own schedule and you need to check with that first. And perhaps if, I don't know, Guggenheim is closed Sunday and Monday, then I'm not going to go visit it during those days, right? So make sure you kind of have a little bit of a map of where you want to go, what do you want to do, what are the activities. Make sure you look into those activities, plan ahead, and then once everything is all set, now we can talk about what you're going to pack. So when we're packing, my tip number two is to be intentional with the items that you pack. Don't go out there and buy new outfits. I know we're very tempted. I was very, very tempted on my last trip, and I want to say at least the 4 weekends before, I wanted to go shopping for a new dress, for a new pair of sandals. I purchased some of them online, and luckily they arrived only after my trip. Downside was that I wasn't able to bring them with me, but on the good note, they weren't fitting and I ended up returning them. So if I would have had them with me on the trip, I probably would have worn them, been uncomfortable, and had to eventually, you know, just keep them in the closet forever and not wear them again because they were hurting my feet, for example. When you purchase new items, remember you have this period of break-in. For shoes, definitely for shoes. So the last thing you want to do is go on a trip with a new pair of shoes. They end up hurting your feet, as cute as they are. So, and then you end up wearing something you already had before. We're also tempted to splurge on things before the trip. So be mindful that the majority of the expenses will be on the trip. Maybe you will see something cute while you're there at your destination. So that would be something to keep in mind. The same goes for clothes, by the way. I recommend, if you really are missing pieces from your wardrobe, such as, you know, a pair of shorts, for example, or a white linen shirt, make sure you purchase it ahead of time. Give it a try, wash it, wear it, see if you're comfortable, see if you like it, see if you're going to keep it, so that by the time the trip comes, it's all set and you have no regrets. And you also don't need to return any of it. Returns are such a big part of my life. You know, on a side note, in Europe, you can never return anything. Once I came here to the States and I realized they have a return policy, I could not believe it. I mean, who would want to take back some clothes that, you know, or any items really that were already opened and worn and consumed? But really, it's ultimately about the customer satisfaction, and I really, really like that. So for me to keep an item, I have to be really happy about it. because if for any reason I end up not liking it, I'm not going to wear it. Not only is it money wasted, but then it's also space wasted, and it's cluttering. It's taking away from the opportunity of me purchasing an item that I actually do like and I want it to be part of, you know, my wardrobe. To finish off with this tip about being intentional, I highly recommend you already use what you have. You don't want to add to the cost of this trip, because really we want to be selective about what we choose in our closet. And the last 2 weeks before a trip is not the time to stress yourself even more with new selections like I have. I literally did this. I think I went back and forth in purchasing dresses and returning and purchasing and returning and purchasing and returning, and I was just... So it's step number 3, I would check the itinerary, the destination itinerary. So if you have pre-booked activities, then you might want to see what time of the day they are set, and also what is their dress code. This is really important, because if you're going to a Broadway show, for example, right, you need to be formal. But if you're going on a cruise for the day or a boat out in the ocean, then that's another type of outfit that you would need. And they are pretty specific about that. And I know that it's not, as grown-ups, we don't really pay attention to that, but I've been in plenty of situations where I ignored it, and then I ended up having to forego the actual activity or settle for something less. So let me give you an example. I went on a cruise one time and I didn't know that for men you need formal attire, you need a sports jacket. If you're just looking to go out for dinner and you're not getting into whatever random place because they're dressed too nicely, then you're gonna go somewhere else. But if you know exactly where you want to go, I recommend you check with them first on their website perhaps, and make sure that your outfit is appropriate. Oh, I'm gonna give you another example. This was back when I was a teenager, and I know it was a very different world, but I was in Budapest and I wanted to enter a church. I was pretty much just wearing a tube on the top and boy shorts on the bottom. Yeah, that's what I was wearing, I guess, when I was 17. And guess what? I was turned away. And this was 20 years ago. I was turned away because I wasn't dressed appropriately, and they asked for me to cover up. I didn't have anything to cover up. And yes, I had to wait outside while my party went in and, you know, visited. My tip number 4 is to check the weather as close as the departing time as possible, because nowadays you can see the forecast 10 days ahead, and even though I know you had plans for a beautiful, you know, sundress, if it turns out it's torrential rain, you're probably not going to go outside. So probably the day before, a couple of days before, right when you're about to start packing, look at the forecast of your destination and look at 10 days ahead, and keep checking to make sure that it's that your outfits are packed accordingly. Tip number 5 is to check the schedule for the time of the day for each activity. I like to plan in blocks of half a day, for example. You know, like this Tuesday morning for half a day, we're going to this place, then we're gonna have lunch there, in the afternoon we're going somewhere else. This, along with the forecast, it kind of gives me an idea of how I should be dressing, because in the morning is cooler and the afternoon is cooler, during the day is really hot, so you might want to layer, or perhaps wear the kind of articles that have a nice clear opening. Schedule them by day. I literally made a little calendar, and then for 5 days, day 1, day 2, day 3 outfits, laid out everything beforehand so that I could see everything that I'm going to bring. A very good travel bag. It works. I was able to pack everything, not just for me, but for my entire family and my kids. And it was great because it's accessible. I was hanging it up in the bathroom where we were. Don't forget about the accessories, your earrings, your necklaces, your bracelets, your belts, scarves, anything that makes you happy. So on my last tip, and this is really important, is to try to bring basics that you can mix and match with different outfits, with different tops, different bottoms, and you can you know, lower the amount of clothes that you bring. So for example, if you're going to bring a pair of sandals, don't bring the bright pink that will only match a specific dress. Try to go for neutrals, like a pair of white or beige sandals, for example. White pants go really well with everything, right? So on top you can wear different blouses that you can alternate throughout the days. And I specifically recommend applying this to shoes because shoes are so bulky and you really can't bring 10 pairs of shoes for 5 days, because really that's what it would take, right? One pair during the day and one for nighttime. So pick your basic heel for dinner, perhaps a pair of black pumps or nude pumps, and then during the day you can have a pair of you know, water shoes if you're going to do water activities, and then a pair of nice sandals that are beige or wedges, white ones for example. That matches pretty much everything. Usually I pick, for let's say 5 days, I pick 2 major colors that I will wear, navies probably, one, and white for the summer. Now that doesn't mean that I don't have any other colors. I do have monochrome dresses that are, you know, coral one for example, and they always match my nude sandals. Really all your outfits should be pre-selected. Lay them all out on the bed. Look at everything and what you're about to pack before packing. Once you have everything laid out, see if perhaps you can replace one item with something else, that instead of 2 pair of pants, maybe you have one that goes with both outfits, right? As I said before, to mix and match, and that way you can remove some of those items. I hope you enjoyed watching my tips and you find them useful. Let me know in the comment section down below. I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye.